Let's get this meeting officially started. As most of you know, President Nancy is at the inauguration today, so she won't be with us. So it is my pleasure to welcome you today to the Rotary Club of Healdsburg Sunrise Rotary meeting. And I just have a few opening comments, and then I will turn it over to President Chase and the Interact Club. First of all, an official welcome to Amy Ricard. We just met Amy a couple of minutes ago, and let's see if I can get this right. She is a Sonoma County Ag and Open Space District Coordinator.
I'm the Community Relations Specialist, yes, for the Sonoma County Ag and Open Space District.
Well, welcome, Amy. Glad to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
President Nancy also wanted to thank everybody who participated in the auction last week. For those of you that contributed items and those of you that bid on those items. I think it's the first time we've done something like that, and it was quite successful. So thank you to everybody that participated. A couple quick announcements before we turn it over to President Chase. Save the date. July 24th. As most of you know, we've been working on the Healdsburg Bike Tour, and our tentative plan, and we're fairly optimistic that this is gonna happen, is we're gonna plan for the Healdsburg Bike Tour on July 24th. Because of the pandemic situation right now, we're gonna start out with a virtual event. We're gonna plan a virtual event with the potential to switch over to a live event if the guidelines loosen up. And apparently that's what most of the field is doing with these events, but just keep that date on your calendar, July 24th. And also in regards to the pollinator project that Jay Beckwith and the district SRAC committee has been working on, we're gonna have a 5-minute meeting either at the end of our meeting or immediately after, depending on how much time we have in the agenda. But if you would like to be a part of that discussion, plan on sticking around for a few minutes to talk with Jay. All right, so it is my pleasure this morning to introduce President Charles Summer. You don't have to call him Charles, though. You can call him President Chase. President Chase has been a member of the Interact Club for 4 years. He's been an officer for 2 years, and most recently became our president. He is the ASU student body president at Healdsburg High School. He plays basketball. And in addition to all that and getting very good grades, Chase also works at Healdsburg Running Company. And I personally have experienced Chase's cooking skills, and I know he makes a mean breakfast taco. So if you ever need a mean breakfast taco, give President Chase a call. So without further ado, please welcome President Chase.
Thank you, Andy, and good morning, everyone. You can just call me Chase, but let me introduce Jackson for our inspiration this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start off with a quote. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Martin Luther King.
Thank you, Jackson, and quite timely with the quote. For an update for Interact Club, we're working on the milkweed project with the monarch butterflies. So we're working on, I know Mr. Ted sent documents in this morning, but we're working on it with the high school and getting it posted in our high school garden. And then also we're working on notes for the senior living. And then in addition to that, the officers for that Interact Club this year are Jackson and Owen, and I believe they're both at this meeting. So now let me call on committee reports.
Lance, did you have a report for Choices Project?
Not at this time. I'm still waiting to hear back from the junior high principal. So I'm continuing to hammer on the door, and hopefully we'll hear from them soon.
Okay. And any other committee, does anybody else have a committee report or announcement that they'd like to share with the group?
Well, I would. My mother would have been 101 years old yesterday, but she missed it just shy of a month. She passed away December 20th, but I think she just got tired of nobody being able to come in and to her facility where she was at, but she had her wits about her at right toward the end. So because of that, last year I gave $100 for her 100th birthday, and I'm going to spot her a month, and I'm going to contribute $101 to our foundation.
Thank you, Ted. Any other announcements?
Our game now, Andy.
Yep. Take it away.
So we have a little Jeopardy-like game with the high school where we ask you all questions, and then if you get it right, you don't have to give us money, and then if you get it wrong, you do have to give us money. And then they're pretty easy questions normally that a fifth grader, or the game's called Are You Smarter Than a Healdsburg High School Student, would get right. So I'll have Jackson take it away with the first question.
All right. What is North Carolina rapper DaBaby's real name?
Just you just pick somebody.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Archie, what do you think?
Can't hear you, Archie.
His real name must be Bubba. He's from North Carolina.
No, it's not Bubba. All right. Do we want the answer?
No,
Yes.
you pick on somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what are the stakes on this?
President Chase.
It's high stakes, Andy. What did we decide? $10 for a missed question.
$10.
Hey, I owe you $10.
Okay.
Emerson, do you have a question?
Oh, well, give us the answer first.
Okay. The baby's real name is Jonathan Kirk.
That was my guess.
Do you pay extra if you don't understand the question, let alone the answer?
Well, for that last comment, I think Andy needs to kick something in the pot.
All right. I'll match the fine for $10.
Emerson, do you have a question for anyone?
Yeah. What does FOMO stand for?
Please call on a specific person.
Go with Douglas.
Soma?
FOMO.
How do you spell that?
It's an acronym, FOMO.
Boy.
I have no idea. Yeah, but
Sorry.
you hit my $10.
Do you know the answer? Can you volunteer it?
I know
Sure.
the answer.
Absolutely.
Fear
It's,
of missing out.
Missing out. Yeah.
Say that again, Amy.
Fear of missing out, and I suffer from it greatly.
I think Amy's too young. We're not allowed to ask her questions.
Yeah.
I'm older than you think I am. I had no idea who DaBabies was. I've never heard of that in my life.
I'll ask you a question now. Lance, what pop culture figure is Floyd Mayweather's next opponent?
I have absolutely no idea. So
Now, Lance, in the last few years, you have actually crushed all of these high school questions. What's up?
they haven't been asking physics questions.
Oh.
Yeah, we went to y'all's straight.
I'll give you $10. It should be the YouTuber, isn't it? Like one of the Paul brothers or something.
Yeah, Logan Paul is the
Logan
correct.
Paul. There you go.
Wow.
I'll give
Good, Tom.
you 10.
Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Jackson, do you have another question?
Who is the 21st president of the United States? Jay, what do you think?
Calvin Coolidge.
Not Calvin Coolidge. It was Chester A. Arthur.
Oh.
You're suddenly going to hear rapid fire typing as we Google the answers. We can cheat on that.
I'm watching no Googles.
There's a Zoom student for you.
Emerson, do you have another?
Yeah, this one's not quite pop culture, but if you have a grandchild, maybe you'll get it. What are the names of the kids in The Incredibles? We'll go with Larry.
Who are the Incredibles? I have no idea.
I love that movie, but I do not remember the characters' names at all.
Tom, you seem like a sports fan. I'll ask you a good question.
Wait, give him the answer first.
The answers are Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack.
I was just about to say that.
Okay, Tom, you seem like a sports fan. Who is Caesar's favorite to win the NBA MVP?
Caesar's favorite to the NBA MVP. It's either James. Actually, right now, I think it's Kevin Durant.
I think it's Luka Doncic, actually.
Damn, my bad. Another 10.
Picking on you. Back to Jackson.
Okay, I'll go back to my questions here. Name 3 songs by Travis Scott. Ted, what do you think?
Jingle bells. No, I have no idea. I contribute $10.
All right. Goosebumps, Sicko Mode, The Scots. Those are some examples.
Emerson, you still got questions?
Brutal.
Yeah. What was the first Disney movie?
Oh.
We can go with Lance.
Me again.
No Googling, Lance.
Full length. Was that Pinocchio, the first full length one?
Fantasia?
Steamboat Mickey.
See, Steamboat is a short. That's why I didn't go with Steamboat Mickey. Or Snow White, but I don't think so. What's the answer?
It is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, I was thinking it might be Snow White, but I knew that had the really fancy 3D backgrounds, and I thought that was later.
I think somebody needs to ask Diane Booker a question.
Diane, I'll ask you a question. What is Netflix's show Cobra Kai based off of? It's a movie in the 80s.
Oh God, it's the kid, Karate Kid.
Correct.
Wow.
Don't watch Cobra Kai. The acting is worse. He acts not as well as he did when he was a teenager. Just saying. And I'll be in for $10.
That was a good answer. Jackson, back to you.
All right. Who wants the next question?
I'll take one.
All right. Who has the most followers on TikTok?
Premier of China.
What's that? Girl singer.
Wow. I don't know.
The answer is Charlie D'Amelio.
Of course.
I know exactly as much now as I did before.
Charlie, I'm gonna look him up. Charlie D'Amelio.
That must be in this country.
Yeah. Okay. a couple more questions and we'll move on to the next part of the agenda.
We'll do one more round. I'm starting to feel bad. Emerson, do you have one more?
Yeah, what does the acronym SMH stand for? And I'll ask Tom.
Shaking my head.
Yeah.
Very good, Tom.
It's the texting. What can you do?
Yeah.
Back to you.
I'll pay $10 to see Lee Morton fail on one of these questions.
All right. Jackson's got a question for Lee next.
What was the name of the HR rep in the television show The Office?
Lee, that one's for you.
Lee's muted.
You're muted, Mr. Morton.
Just
Okay.
give me $10 and we can move on.
Leo's $10.
Put your hearing aids in, Lee.
Left him speechless, yes.
All right. Lastly, sorry, Lee. Jay, what was the top selling video game of 2020?
Repeat the question.
What was the top selling video game of 2020?
I'm going to say Minecraft.
Good guess, but it was Call of Duty.
Wow.
I think we're done with the questions now. So can we get on to the craft talk by you?
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
It's fun.
So Jay, would you like to do your craft talk now?
Sure. Hang on. Let me pull up my notes. I think I've got them here.
Next year, I think we ought to have members posing some questions to our Interact visitors. That could also be fun.
I would be in for that. I would play that game.
I also am in.
Great idea.
Okay. I'm going to put a notes for my craft talk up in the chat as soon as I'm done. Nancy and I have been talking about trying to alter or upscale, if you will, the craft talks with the idea of, instead of talking about what accomplishments you've had, talk about life-changing information that you've acquired. So let me start with that. I'll try to keep it down to 5 minutes, so I'm watching my time here. I work with kids, and I think every kid is a genius. And by that I mean, not that they're smart, but they have the possibility of making a lasting transformation to culture, to community, to others. So genius is both intelligence, but it's also making a contribution. I was a terrible student. I couldn't read until the 3rd grade. And my teacher at that time took us to an ocean field trip. And we came back and we made a mural. And it was a really transformative event for me because I was able to paint. And the mural was very interesting. And the teacher asked us to present a summary of our trip to the other classes. But I found out later that the reason I was having so much trouble in school was that I was dyslexic. But I didn't find that out until I was in my 20s. So I went through school just really suffering. I finally learned to read really well, and I ran across H.G. Wells. And I ran across him because I got interested in science fiction. And it turns out that he was quite a great scientist. And I read the entire Science of Life, which was everything that was known about biology in the late 20s and 30s. From there, I was following about that time the Vietnam War, and it appalled me, the death and destruction that was taking place. And it was clear to me that that was a proxy war between the West and China. And it repelled me. That caused me to be interested in becoming a pacifist. And I discovered the Quakers. And from that, I rejected the participation in the Vietnam War and was very active in resisting that. I was at college at the time, and I ran across a professor who was really incredible. He had a series of classes, the best of which for me was the theory of communication. And his seminal observation was, we create, order, and project our world moment by moment. And I have found that to be absolutely stunning. It works whether you're talking about cosmology or the function of the eye or anything else. The world around us doesn't exist. It exists only in our mind. We create, order, and project that onto the world. From that, I've gotten interested in neurophysiology. And and I've been very involved with kids because as a kid, I was having so much trouble being able to fit in. So I went from that to the other thing that Kirby Miller taught was, if you want to figure out what something is or what somebody is saying, find out what their intent is. If you ask, what is the intent of this poem? What is the intent of that action? What is the intent of that politician when they're recommending something? Figuring out what people's intent is a really powerful way to find out what the truth is. That's what's allowed me to look at politics and get through a lot of the junk that goes on. But there's other ways to do that. For example, spiritual practice. I was fortunate to meet Suzuki Roshi, who was very instrumental in bringing Zen Buddhism to the West. He established the Zen Center in San Francisco. And I used to practice very rigorously. And after the sessions, we were allowed to ask Roshi a question. And I said to him, I keep trying, I can't get this. He looked at me and he said, stop trying. That could be two ways to take it. One would be to let go. I took it in a little different way. I stopped practicing Zen. And I went on to meet another San Francisco icon, Sufi Sam. And Sufi Sam was an amazing guy. The whole field of Sufism was very interesting to me because it's all about humor and dance. So Sufi Sam believed that you could achieve an open mind through dance. And we did a lot of that kind of stuff. And the message that I took away from Sufi Sam was, we are always expecting that which we ourselves should have given. It's another way of talking about the golden rule. Because of my interest in children, I read a book called Homo Ludens. That's Man the Player. And what I learned from that was that play is the wellspring of culture. It is the basis on which we learn things like democracy. It's a fascinating book. Because I was so poor a student, I was able to succeed in college by being in the art department. But I ran across a guy named Marcel Duchamp, who's an American and a French guy. And he was one of the principals of a movement called Dada, which is the basis of modern art. And he had said, I had the opportunity to meet him, and I said, is it true what you've said, that all the art has been done? And he said, oui. And from that, I decided not to do art anymore. I had was one of the first and almost only people to have a one-man show at the De Young Museum. And I could have gone on from that to be an artist, but instead I've decided to be a play systems designer. And part of the reason that I have gotten into systems was that I got a chance to meet Bucky Fuller and learn from him the whole idea about systems theory, on which much of the Silicon Valley is based. Systems theory was really prevalent with the people around Stanford, because the Hohler catalog was in Menlo Park. And I was part of that movement. So that was really the basis of what we now think of as the whole tech movement. The other thing that I found that was very interesting was sensory integration. Sensory integration has to do with being able to be present in life in terms of your body. And from that, I learned somewhat later that I am on the Asperger's spectrum. And if you're interested in knowing what it's like to be an Asperger's person, you might read a really fun and interesting book called The Rosie Project. And the reference is in the book. Currently, what I'm doing is working with Kaboom and the largest play systems producer in the world, Play Power, on a project called Play Everywhere, to make play available wherever there are children. Finally, and to close, I'm a firm believer that play equals peace. If you begin if you get into TikTok, start liking the pages where disparate animals make friends, geese and pigs, giraffes and lions. I mean, it's amazing. The young of any species will play with other young species, and when they grow up, they remain at peace with each other. So that's my movement, and I'm hoping to be part of the Peace Project with Rotary. So that's my craft talk for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I think pretty soon the Interact Club members and President Chase are going to have to sign off to head off to their Zoom classes. So before they leave, just want to say thank you to all of them for attending. And I'm sure you'll be seeing them again in our projects for the rest of the year. Any hands-on projects that our club has, I know the Interact Club would love to participate. So thank you all for showing up this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Crap.
And since we don't have our Terry Tremblay here today to be tracking everyone's fines, if you got a question wrong or potentially even got one right and you owe money to the Interact Club, make sure that you make that donation or let Terry know that he should add that to your bill.
Come on, Lance. I'm a former accountant. I have it all written down right here.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah.
I was afraid this was going to get dropped.
No. I don't see some of the recognizees on the meeting this morning. Carl's not with us this morning. Philippe isn't with us this morning. Bert isn't with us this morning. Okay, so we don't have any recognition this morning. So at this point, we'll turn it over to Ed so that he can introduce our speaker for the morning. Take it away, Ed.
Thank you, Andy. Today's speaker is our own Ted Calvert. He's been a Sunrise Rotarian for 14 years, lived in Healdsburg for 40 years, and is the president of the Healdsburg Literary Guild. He is the author of the Healdsburg Chronicles, Legacy of Pitch Mountain, and Hiking Guides. He conducts hiking tours for Land Pass and community groups, does land stewardship work for the Sonoma County Open Lands Project, enjoys biking, hiking, and playing golf, and is Healdsburg's own historian. Ted, take it away.
Well, thank you, Ed. You do a good job. All right. You're my first try. We're going to go for it. I'll put on the screen. Share screen. And it didn't come up yet.
Looks like, did you have the video already open?
No.
Okay, you need to launch it first and then share your screen and share that video. Or I could share it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Do that real quick.
It's a big file, so.
All right, I'll start it now.
Yes, go right ahead. Okay, yes, Ed has said that I've led hiking tours for Sonoma County Ag and Open Space Preserves for City of Healdsburg Land Paths. And I continue to help Sonoma County land stewardships on ongoing work, which is a lot of. And thanks to you, taxpayer, your tax dollars, because a quarter-cent tax, everything you buy and sell in Sonoma County goes to Ag and Open Space District. We have these amazing open space lands, and this presentation will have photo streaming as I talk, so please hold your questions until the end. And there is a website for the Ag and Open Space for your edification, if you will. Okay, Sonoma County's Ag and Open Space is responsible for the perpetual protection of 122,000 acres of working, natural, and scenic open space lands in Sonoma County. That's a lot of land. So what does land conservation do for you? Which is the title of the presentation. Well, conserving agricultural lands helps ensure food security, protects open space and view sheds, prevents sprawl, and helps the local economy. Preserving open space improves quality of life, allows individuals and families to experience the outdoors, and contributes to a healthier community. Protecting land supports healthy ecosystems, habitats, biodiversity, and ensures sustainable, high-quality water supplies for people and wildlife. Sonoma County's natural and working lands are an important tool to help slow and adverse catastrophic climate change by sequestering carbon in natural and working landscapes, avoiding emissions associated with urban sprawl, and keeping coastal lands undeveloped in the face of sea level rise. And we have a lot of coastal land in Sonoma County, for sure. Very beautiful. It's about preserving and sharing natural places, wanting people to engage with the land, bring nature into daily life for walks stress relief, beauty, and learning. Thus says Craig Anderson, the LandPAS Executive Director. So LandPAS, which is an acronym for Land Partners Through Stewardship, is a nonprofit community conservation organization with the mission of fostering a love of the land in Sonoma County. They work with ag and open space. This continues, they continue to work with communities like the city of Healdsburg, constructing trails, manage the preserves, provide outings and educational opportunities for community, and create opportunities for folks to explore and care for the land. This photo is at Willow Creek Preserve, accessed via Pomo Canyon Trail off of Highway 1 at Shell Beach. Working hard doing land stewardship. Craig Anderson is in the background, his son in the orange shirt, a very happy property owner to the left of the preserve, because he lives right next to it, and I'm at the right side. So open space preserves ecosystems are one of a kind and forever wild. Ecosystems are a complex of plants, animals, and non-living elements that interact. Plants use animals for pollination and spreading seeds. Animals rely on plants for shelter and support. Ecosystems help purify the air, cycle nutrients so we have access to clean drinking water, and pollinate our crops' food chain. Ecosystems habitat supports a wide variety of wildlife species, provides animal nesting, food, shelter, water from shallow groundwater aquifers, and used as migrating corridors. Consider also the preserve's civic values. The land is an organism, not a grab bag of valuable resources by profiteers, but as an interweaving of life with man, a part of the fabric. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we begin to use it with respect. There is no other way for land to survive the impact of mechanized man and urbanization. When men and women through the ages have gone to nature's wilderness to gain perspective on their lives and be stewards with the lands. It says a lot. Brings a lot of value. Okay, access Fitch Mountain Preserve via Villa Chanticleer lower parking lot. Yeah. Mountain Park Preserve is on 173 acres, hiking distance 4.2 miles, elevation 787 feet. Rating is moderate. There are 8 hiking trails. It's a good note here. Average open space trails are 5 to 12% grades going up. Fitch Mountain has some 25 to 30% grades. And the grand loop on this one would be going from the lower parking lot trails head all the way down to the Hilltop Road, make a left on Riverview Road, back to Fitch Mountain via a trail, back to the trailhead. And a lot of people just go to Summit 1 and go right back. Here is a General Eisenhower redwood tree or old stovepipe on the way to the lower parking lot. I don't know how many people have seen that, but it's right there in our face. Watch out for poison oak. Leaves of 3, let it be. You don't want that. Trails include the Banana Slug Trail, UC Santa Cruz mascot, Lance. Banana slugs are the unsung heroes of our Fitch Mountain forest. They are the second largest slug in the world. They help replenish the soil by decomposing leaves, mushrooms, animal droppings, waste into rich fertilizer. They're the preserve's cleanup crew, the ultimate recyclers, and they are throughout the forest. Pileated Woodpecker Trail. The woodpecker is the largest woodpecker in the United States. When pecking, their head is traveling 15 miles an hour, pecking 4 times a second. Sounds like a man chopping down a tree. When courting, its loud calls echoes throughout the forest. However, and this is important, loud noises such as dogs barking, traffic noise disrupts their habitat. Wildlife, straining to be heard, interferes with their attracting mates, ward off rivals, and defend their territories. There are 60 bird species on Fitch Mountain Preserve, including the great blue heron, red-tailed and Cooper hawks, osprey, northern spotted owl, black-headed grosbeak. And here you have the Val Swift birds on their annual migration. between September and October. They fly down into an abandoned high chimney at Seventh-day Adventist Academy then in Balash Road. In 2015, they counted between 30 to 40,000 swifts. Public can watch for $10 from the Adventist Academy and experience to witness their migration, especially if a red-tailed hawk comes in for dinner, which I've seen, and they scatter all over the place. And here's our vultures sitting waiting. So from Summit 1, 991 feet elevation on Fitch Mountain, you can see where you live, work, play, shop, go to school. Very few towns have this vista available. In 1928 were plans to build a large resort on top of Fitch Mountain. Official mountain status in North America is 1,000 feet. For Fitch Mountain to have official mountain status, some Hillsburg High School students piled 9 feet of rock on Summit 1. Butterfly Trail. There are 20 butterfly species, include the pipevine swallowtail, Anna's swallowtail, California dogface. They use the mountain as migrating corridors. A butterfly mating dance called hilltopping occurs here. And if you're walking through the hilltopping procedure, I mean, you got to push them away with your hands. There's so many of them. Trees include coastal redwoods, California bay, madrone, Douglas fir, big leaf maples, California buckeye, California live oak, which is one there. Shrubs include Toyon red Christmasberry, elderberry, spice bush, rhododendron. In late December, thousands of birds gobble up the red Toyon berries. As they fly over, their pooping washes over cars and ground like a fire hose. I know personally because I was right in the middle of that one time. You don't forget those times. But interesting. So along the trails, you'll see flora, including Indian paintbrush, shooting star, monkey face flower, Johnny jump up, white botania with red and green leaves, soap root plants, and hound's tongue. By the way, hound's tongues, their leaves can be used as toilet paper. I'm just saying, you know. It's a useful on occasion, I guess. So here are some more pictures of some of the flora. And ferns include the sword fern, wood fern, goldenback fern, and they are abundant. They dress up that flora of the Fitch Mountain beautifully. So Fitch Mountain is an island in geological time. Fitch Mountain began at the bottom of an ancient sea, now part of Pacific Ocean, over a 100 million year period. The San Andreas Fault had worked its way north, a great crack in the Earth's crust created by the force of the Pacific Plate moving against North America. Blocks of forced earth move up, down, around, and over. The block that is Fitch Mountain was pushed up. As it rose, the harder rocks forced the river, the Russian River here, to meander around this island in geological time. And you can see the rock in the center up close to the clouds, that rock face there. We have geological phenomena right here in our backyard. Wildlife here include California gray fox, bobcat, brush rabbit, black-tailed deer, squirrel, mountain lion, skunks, bats, and raccoons. The California gray fox is a solitary hunter, eating rabbits, mice, gophers, wood rats, squirrels, grains, and insects, because they can't go to the grocery store, folks. Really something to see. I see a lot of great California gray foxes around this area. Dusky footed wood rats build their shelters in trees or on the ground. The impressive stick towers may measure up to 6 feet tall. And right there in the crevice of the base of the tree of the trunk, and the other little one is that where it's at. French broom is an invasive species, a hardy, stubborn plant in tall clusters and can grow to 8 to 10 feet. It creates ideal ladder feel for wildfires. 3 largest threats to the preserve, well, fire, French broom, because it overtakes native plant diversity, and dogs off leash. Why? Because it's hazardous to our ecosystems, the hikers, and bikers. These preserves areas were home to the local native Southern Pomo, Wapo, and Miwok people before their Euro-Anglo took over. When Native American looked at these fields, it was like looking at their shopping mall for medicines, food, and shelter. They used a soap root plant for soap, food, glue, medicine, and poison to help catch fish. The poison to help catch fish, they would crush the fish-sized root bulbs of their plant, throw them in the river to stupefy the fish, and it was easier to net. I talked personally to some Native Americans on that, and they said the leaves that you see here are very tasty when they're cooked over a fire. It's nice to know information. Here we have the Healdsburg Ridge Open Space Preserve via Parkland Farms Boulevard, north of town, across from Simi Winery. The Healdsburg Ridge Preserve is on 155 acres, hiking distance 3.5 miles, elevation 110 feet, rating easy, 6 hiking trails, 5 overlook vistas, 2 ponds, and 7 stops. And as you notice on the top there, it says Nancy's Hill Overlook. The preserve forest is made up of California coast live oak, black oak, blue oak, valley oak, madrone, bay, California buckeye, manzanita, Douglas fir, coyote shrub, and also 1 Monterey pine. And there's manzanita here. Here is this Fox Pond. These ponds are an important breeding area for amphibians like tree frogs and turtles. They also support aquatic vegetation and are a water supply during dry season. The great egret, great blue heron can be seen here. There are also invasive species like the American bullfrog. So there's always something to challenge the wildlife in that area. There's also all the Oaks Trail Pond as well on the reserve. Okay, Nancy's Hill Overlook. Why do they call it Nancy's Hill? Because farmer Walter Fox, who used to own the property, the Fox family, owned a Jersey cow named Nancy. When Nancy wandered off, she would end up here on top of this hill. Here at the preserve, oak woodlands make up 81% of the preserve. In the upper background, you can see the recently opened Montage Resort. What would Nancy think about that? In the background there. Okay, looking east, you can see the Mayakama mountain range stretching 52 miles in the local countryside. This range forms the dividing line between Sonoma and Napo counties. Here I'm leading a private 2.5-hour tour of Fitch Mountain for some private individuals. They asked for this. Russian River Overlook. I appreciate the restorative powers of a walk or run in the woods. It helps me refocus on the things in life that are truly important. Andy Escobar. Thank you very much, Andy, for those words of wisdom. How true. How true. So accessing land paths, Riddell Preserve via West Dry Creek and Brack Road, right in our backyard. It's on 400 acres, hiking distance 6 miles, elevation over 1,300 feet over the 6 miles, and rating is moderate. Now, before the fire, August 2020, here's a Riddell cabin and deck. The cabin, all-inclusive, 2 bedrooms, kitchen, etc., had been there. Working in collaboration with Sonoma County Trails Council, Land Paths expects to complete an entire trail system, including approximately 6 new miles of trail within 3 years, expanding access to the preserve for camps, school outings, and gatherings on the Riddell deck. This is before the fire. And development of cabins, campsites, and hiking tours on that property will be limited under conservation easement. And here's pictures inside the cabin. I've been there several times, and it was quite impressive. So the more you're here, the more it soaks into your bones, says Jim Riddell. The family used to own the Riddell Preserve. When Jim wanted to sell the property in 100 acres, Ag and Open Space offered to buy it whole and keep it forever wild.
Nice.
If you can see from the cabin. And after post-Walbridge fire, 75% of the Riddell Preserve 400 acres burned. The fire was slow-moving ground fire, but stayed out of the tree crown tops. erosion control measures to protect Riddell's Crane and Kelly Creeks that pose a risk for sediment runoff from the fire draining into the Russian River are being taken. The cabin did not burn during the Wallbridge fire. The cabin trail and spur trail at the Riddell Preserve are closed due to the fire. And the preserve suffered 2 miles of dozer fire road scars cutting through half the preserve, and that's going to be taking a while to restore that. And stewardship, the act of caring for or improving with time. Always work to do. Join in the fun, folks. Join in the fun. And felled trees on the trail, more work to do. Always. Well, look at nature. Climb the mountains. Get their good tidings. Nature's peace will flow into you as the sunshine into the trees. The winds will blow their freshness into you, and the storms their energy, while cares will drop off you as autumn leaves. Thus say John Muir, the famous naturalist. And clouds decorate ag and open spaces, coastal bounty. Are we lucky? Are we fortunate? We certainly are. So Sonoma County's Ag and Open Space District has been here for nearly 30 years. To date, the district has spent about $334 million buying development rights and another $65 million on outright land purchases scattered around the county. It played a role in protecting more than 62,000 acres of native oak forest, 5,800 acres of wetlands and waterway habitat, 98 miles of creeks that host salmon and trout, 33,000 acres of grazing land and support for 77 agricultural properties producing cheese, milk, meat, poultry, produce, and wine that contribute to a $650 million farm economy. So in summary, as we look around Sonoma County, we see the results of ag and open spaces work everywhere. Large portions of Fitch Mountain, Sonoma Mountain, Taylor Mountain, Hood Mountain, the Mayacamas, much of coastal Sonoma County and other community separators have all been preserved as a result of ag and open spaces actions and your tax dollars. The coastal agriculture belt along Bodega Highway, farmlands throughout the county, tribal reserves, and significant projects within the Russian River watershed and the Laguna have all benefited. All this is what land conservation can do for you. Here's a self-help hiking guide that I have produced. The 3 ag and open space preserves. It's for those who know they don't know. They don't know what there is and what they're looking at. This guide, as well as my books, Legacy of Fitch Mountain and Hillsburg Chronicles, are available at local bookstores, Lebanon Company, Copperfields, or order from my website, tedcalvertauthor.com. So at this time, I'd like to have Amy say a word, please, regarding the ag and open space.
Sure, Ted, I'm happy to, although I think you covered most of it. As you mentioned, we were created in 1990 by the voters of Sonoma County that wanted to tax themselves to protect land here for agriculture, for natural resources, for scenic vistas, green belts, and recreation. And so for nearly 30 years, we've been doing that. And as Ted said, we've now protected over 122,000 acres in the county. That's more than 12% of the county. But there's still more work to do. And so our current sales tax measure, which was reauthorized in 2006 with 76% of the vote, that sales tax measure sunsets in 2031. So we've got basically 10 years left on this current sales tax measure, and we're about to approve a long-term strategic plan called the Vital Lands Initiative that really charts the course for the agency for the next 10 years, identifying the most vulnerable and at-risk lands in each of our categories, And that's really what we're going to try to focus on in these last 10 years. In addition, we will go back out to the community and ask that they reauthorize the tax. So it won't be, taxes won't be raised. It won't be a new tax. It's just an extension of an existing sales tax, so that we can continue to do this work. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have specific questions. But yes, we're very thankful for the community for having the forethought to create this district. And while we're very proud of the work that we've done to date, as I mentioned, there's still quite a bit of work left to do. So yeah.
Question, Dan.
So I live near Fitch Mountain, and it seems like it's got a lot of fire fuel on it. Is there anything in the works to cut that down, or reduce that so it's less of a potential Roman candle, as I've heard people say?
Ted, you'd probably know more than me. So the city of Healdsburg owns the property. So we have a conservation easement over it. And yes, we would encourage any landowner to be managing their land and the vegetation on their land in such a way to reduce fire risk. So I would imagine, although I'm not entirely sure, that the city of Healdsburg does have plans to be managing that vegetation there, perhaps in partnership with LandPass. I know LandPass does do a ton of stewardship on the mountain, but I can't say for sure what those plans are. And like I said, Ted, you seem more plugged in, so you might.
Yeah, the city of Healdsburg is having Cal Fire remove a lot of that ladder fuel, and they're really you'll hear the grinders grinding away sometimes for hours, and that's what they're doing. They're making a big they're clearing some of that, and they know that they know that they have to do that, and they are doing that. They've used Cal Fire to remove 8 to 10 foot shrubs and all that stuff. And I've been there, and I've removed some of the 8 foot tall French broom. It's just amazing what's there on the ladder fuel part of it. But I personally have been working with them, with LandPass and with Cal Fire, so I can attest that they are now ramping it up. They have ramped it up. Yes.
I have a couple of quick questions. First question is, out at the Riddell Preserve, is there a potential Rotary project there in regards to replanting of trees? I wasn't clear how many, if trees were lost, but you always hear about Rotary clubs around the world participating in the replanting of trees. So just wondered if that might be an opportunity for us. And then the second question, I don't know, kind of maybe an odd question, but I thought it was called Scotch broom. Why is it now called French broom?
There's French broom on the mountain. Scotch broom is as you go through the town of Bodega, not Bodega Bay. You go to the town of Bodega, and you're going out toward the road that takes you into Bodega Bay. You'll see that's Scotch broom.
Okay. So it's different. Okay.
It's different. Yes, it is. Yes. So there are two separate shrubs completely.
So what about the tree planting?
I'll tell you, there's 2 miles of bulldozer, the dozer work that they had to do to stem that fire. That's going to be a terrific amount of work there. There's going to have to be tree planting there. And what we're worried about is the French broom overtaking it, because it's just sitting there. So I could see where it would be a very good a project for Rotary to enter in that. And I will talk to LandPass on that, Craig Anderson, who I know quite well, and get back to you on that. Be a great job. Good idea.
That would be great.
Thank you very much.
Tree planting is one of the 4 projects that District 5130 is engaged in. So there's pollinators, tiny gardens, river restoration, and tree planting are the four projects that our steering committee is pushing forward.
Beautiful, wonderful. It's well needed. But there are preserves I've been through almost all the preserves throughout Sonoma County, and I've worked them all in the stewardship, so on and so forth. And they're totally different. Like off of Willow Creek, it's quite amazing what's back there. And getting there from the ocean, from Shell Beach, you park your car in Shell Beach, walk across Highway 1, hit Pomo Canyon Trail, and you go back a couple miles. And next thing you know, you're back there in a preserve. And it's just awesome. I mean, I've been, to so many preserves, like I said before, and I've worked on them. And it's, and also what Ag and Open Space and trail lands and land paths wants to do is put yurts throughout pathway in Sonoma County so people can stay overnight, but you'd have to call ahead of time, so on and so forth, because they want to make a trail, from Eureka all the way down and through Sonoma County. And I met the gentleman that they're using to plan on that and make a business application on where to put the yurts or whatever you want to call them,
yeah.
Little hideaways. But that's going to be something to look forward to in the future as well.
Dan, did you have a question?
I did. So you've preserved 122,000 acres. Of that number, how many acres are accessible to the public for hiking use?
That's a great question. Let me just look. I have a stats list up here. So we've got
the county has 1 million acres, just over 1 million acres, and we got over 12% of that.
Right. But not all of that, as Dan has noticed, is open to the public. So we've got over 95 miles of trails that we've helped to open to the public. We've created 38 different community open space projects. So those are open space projects that are within towns or sort of within or near urban areas. So in Healdsburg, there's Georgie Park. We've contributed some money there. We also just contributed some money to renovating, I guess, I want to say it's Badger Park. Is that right down by the Badger river?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
To allow for river access there. We've provided 6 locations for public access to the Russian River. So that's Mom's Beach, Sunset Beach, Riverfront Regional, Patterson Point in Monterey, Russian River Keeper Stewardship Park in Guerneville. I'm trying to find if I have in my little list of stats here what the actual acreage.
I have a stat here. It says the district has helped provide 19,000 acres of open land for recreation, including 37 new parks, preserves, and public spaces, 70 miles of trails, and an additional 14,000 acres of land in existing state and county parks.
Great. Thank you. So I think those you probably got maybe from a year or two ago, but I would say those are pretty good estimates at this point. Like I said, I think we've got now over 95 miles of trail. We're counting 45 new parks and preserves, but I think that 19,000 acres, probably about 20 to 25,000 acres, maybe even more. So you may have read, that we just transferred another coastal property, the Carrington Coast Ranch, which is out on Highway 1 and Coleman Valley Road. That's about a 335 acre property we just transferred to regional parks within the last month. So you'll be seeing regional parks start to roll out a management plan and trail plans for that property and trying to get that open in the next few years. You may also be aware, within the last 3 years, we transferred a a kind of a consortium of properties along Mark West Creek, along Porter Creek Road. So that'll be the new Mark West Creek Regional Park and Open Space Preserve. We've got a few other properties in the works. There's another coastal property that we're working to transfer, and then also a property in the Glen Ellen area. So we've got a lot that we're trying to move and get to regional parks, or to get to cities, or even state parks, a recreational entity. But yes, at this point, we have created a number of open space and publicly accessible preserves and regional parks. We've actually doubled the acreage of regional parks in our existence. So, and we've got plans to do more.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any plans for cannabis, Archie, just to let you know.
No, as long as cannabis is still illegal at the federal level, all of our easements are subject to federal law. So we actually have had some agricultural landowners inquire about growing cannabis, and at this point, it's not allowable under our easements.
Hey, Ted, I understand you had some books that you wanted to.
Yes, indeed. I've got this hiking guide, self-help hiking guides booklet on the 3 preserves, and it gives you more information and tidbits of clues to use on your hike. You put it in your back pocket as that size. And of course, this is a picture. This is my Healdsburg Chronicle books. This is the one that has a lot of history in it. It took me 2.5 years to be able to interview the Native Americans. And I tried, and I finally got the door open, and it was gold. It was well worth it. And they let me in and into their culture, et cetera, et cetera. And this, of course, is the legacy of Fish Mountain. So it talks about what's on the mountain, et cetera, et cetera. That's where some of my pictures have come from. So at this time, I would like to auction off a hiking guides booklet, or actually any one of my books. You know,
$40.
$40. Did you say
20?
20.
20.
$20. All right. Do I hear 40? Come on, you guys. I know. Andy bought one. 40. I know Andy bought one for $50.
Yeah, I already have one. Yeah.
Yep. Well, $40 would be good, because the money goes to the club. Doesn't come to me. And all the proceeds for this profit sales are donated to outings at landpass.org. So it doesn't go into my pocket. You got to make sure Uncle Sam sees that, so on and so forth. But anyways, and I will be giving a tour of Healdsburg Ridge in May. Fitch Mountain, I was talking to Fred, our member, and he says, Ted, too steep, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, all depends on your conditioning and your health. So, but hopefully by May, we'll be able to get out and do things like this with this pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. Well, very good. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to mention one thing. I put this in the chat, but I put our website, sonomaopenspace.org, if you want to check out our website for more information. And then just a minor correction on our email address. The general email address is openspace@sonoma-county.org. It's a little bit tricky. So it was slightly different from what Ted had in his presentation, but I put that in the chat. And if you have any other questions, feel free to get in touch with us. And Ted actually has my direct email, so I'm happy to have you share it with members, Ted, if people want to get in touch with me.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very much, Amy. And thank you for attending. That's
sure. It was fun. I didn't expect that Jeopardy game, but that was exciting.
Yeah.
Always fun.
All right. Well, take care, everyone. I'm going to log off and help my kids get on to their Zooms.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for coming, Amy.
Sure. Bye.
All right, everybody. Ted, thank you. Always a pleasure to hear what you're working on. Keep coming back. Also wanted to say thank you to Jay for the craft talk. A little mental stimulation in the morning, good way to start. And also thank you to all of you for your continued support of the Interact Club. Just a friendly reminder what I mentioned from last week, all of the money that you donated today and you've donated over the years, the majority of that, they turn around and they donate it to a nonprofit at the end of their school year. It doesn't just go to some big party or something like that. So thank you for your continued support of the Interact Club. Amy, hopefully you keep inviting Amy to our meetings, Ted. It'd be great to see her again. And unless anybody has any announcements to share, we are, for those of you that want to take part in the pollinator discussion, stick around for a few minutes. But other than that, we are done today. Have a great day, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you.